So I just felt inspired or whatever to make a diary entry. There's two things on my mind, one international, one personal. Internationally, the war in Iran, the war for peace. It truly is the war for peace in Iran. A liberated, civilized Iran. Unified with Israel and the United States of America, a long term bond between those three nations. Not only those three nations. India's coming up. Though I would say also, a lot of people these days say, like, China. A lot of people in America these days say China is our greatest enemy, but I'll remind you what Trump himself said, even though he's been tough on China, and China has been tough on us. We've been tough on each other. As I guess, well, we should be. We're competitors, not enemies. Healthy competition. You know, have you ever played in a sport where you played another team who was also honorable and they beat you, but just barely, but it was a really good game and you made a good bond with your opponent? That's the perfect game, no matter which side you're on. Respect for your opponent. But anyway, once upon a time, not too long ago, Trump said about China and the USA, like, and I'm paraphrasing, that we share a special relationship, and if we could work together, there's virtually no problem that our two nations could not solve together. Like, think about, just theoretically, think about that alliance. Think about a China America alliance. Unfortunately, because of politics, it doesn't quite fit. The puzzle pieces don't quite fit yet. But what if they could? What if we took all that knowledge and all that history, not to discount any other nations, I'm just saying, like, put all the ideological differences aside, like just that statement that Trump said, like, and I'm paraphrasing, like, that if we worked together, there's virtually no problem in the world that we couldn't solve. That's like a flare. And I'm hoping that flare successfully reaches through history. You know, a lot of times, like, emergency flares are fired out. Emergency flares are fired out to say, hey, I'm here, you know? And that was one of Trump's emergency flares he fired out at one point in history. I can't remember the date. It wasn't that long ago. But anyway, yeah, a free Iran following Prince Shah, King Reza, Crown Prince. What is it? Reza Shah II, Reza Shah II, or something like that. King Shah Pahlavi. I'm rooting for that scenario. I'm definitely rooting for that scenario. He does. It's not that he deserves it. It's that, like, God created him for it and he has lived up to God's expectation. Like, God planted the perfect seed Reza Shah Pahlavi. God planted the perfect seed, and the seed grew into an even greater tree than God himself, herself, whatever you think about it. God planted a seed, expecting, hoping, praying for a beautiful tree. And the tree exceeded even God's expectations. Right? That's how I'm feeling it. That's my emotions. That's my feelings at the moment. I know I always go too far. Like, I should turn it up to 7, but I always turn it up to like 18, 19, 21, something like that. Whatever. And for once in my life, my hopes are actually bearing fruit because there are effects around the world. The commie, Pallywood. Yeah, I'll just say it. Yeah, the Palestine fuckfaces. It's motherfuckers, man. The entire culture is rotten. The only thing that stupid it's like saying don't kill an infection. It's like saying infection is life. Infection is you have an infected boil creeping across your arm. It's you have a what's it called, a staph infection. It's just ripping your flesh apart, and you're saying don't don't disinfect your infected, your arms fucking falling off, and they're being like, yes, but it's life, you can't kill life. I'll just go ahead and say it, like, fuck all of Palestine. Save who you can, sure, but for the most part, 2 million people are holding 9 billion people hostage. So fuck you, you're dead, fuck off, no one will miss you. Having that said, if I myself were to meet someone there that I'd love, I would lay my life down for them. We have to do everything we can to save those peoples who are imprisoned within those cultures. We have to do everything we can to save the people who are imprisoned in those cultures. Same with Afghanistan. It's exactly the same like we're doing with Iran. Like, it's like we're doing our best, but it's not perfect. But when you think about it, it's getting pretty darn close to perfect in warfare at the moment, because the statistics between the two sides, like the death ratios, it's it's not 100 to 0, but it's almost 100 to 0. It's almost like we do everything right and you've done everything wrong. Almost, not quite, but almost, statistically, by the numbers. Nothing like that's ever happened in warfare before that I can think of, except for previously in Venezuela, when it was an absolute smoke fest. And the political, diplomatic, international, intranational, by international, it's changed the politics in the USA and in Venezuela. Everything's changed. It's a completely new thing. So it's a prayer for this trend. I forget who it was, but there's some great person of letters who one time said that, like, every old man who was never a soldier regrets it. I can't remember the exact quote. I think it was an English man of letters. I can't remember who it was, but someone said something like, every man who is never a soldier regrets it. And that's coming true for me now. I'm thinking of the girls of Afghanistan. If I knew 30 years ago what I know now, I could have signed up to go to Afghanistan. Back in like 94 and 95, I was talking to a Marine recruiter for a while. And I remember he said you can do anything in the Marines. And the two things I loved were math and art. And he said I could do math if I was a Marine, but I was like, can I do art? And he was like, nah, you can't really do art. And I was like, well. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have went back. I wouldn't have cared why Bush did what he did. I wouldn't have cared why Colin Powell did what he did. I would have only cared that at the end of the day, like at the end of Trump's first term, there were girls like graduating with high school diplomas from Afghanistan, wearing jeans and polo shirts and sneakers. I'm smiling from ear to ear and protected and loved and valued. But no one ever told us when we were younger. No one ever told us 20 years ago, 30 years ago. No one ever told us. There's all these investigative reportings and people and anthropologists and archaeologists, people traveling around the world and scientists and historians, and they're telling this story, telling that story, telling this story, telling that story. But the story they never told was that 230 million women have been subject to female genital mutilation, which is approximately half, of the entire female Islamic world. And that is the war of peace we will wage to save 230 women and their daughters, 460 million, 460 million women and their daughters, a billion women, and so on. Anyway, that's the diary entry for today. I was gonna make some noises, but I'm low on storage. So that's it for now.